records on the number of people who attended, and we thank everyone who did come in and view all the new art that we have on the wall. This is the second show at the Gilday Contemporary Gallery of the year. We normally do a new show about every 5 to 6 weeks at the max. This show is called East Meets West, and we've been able to acquire some great work from the West Coast and some great work from the East Coast. And it's my intentions to take you through and see what you missed last night if you were home watching the ball game. So I would like to say sorry to see that Alabama didn't win, to those people who are the great followers, but I thought it was a terrific game to see Clemson win it in the last minute. Anyway, just to bring you up to date, this is our second show of the year at the Gilday Contemporary Gallery, and as you know, we try to bring in the best art from all over the United States. We have both national, international, and as you'll see today, some great local artists here. So the first artist I'd like to show you and talk to you about is Nancy Ortenstein. Nancy's out in Taos, New Mexico, and Nancy hails from up in Minnesota originally and moved to the Taos area quite some time ago, probably 20 years ago, with her husband Pierre Dupuis, which we'll cover a little later, because we've had him in the gallery for the last 2 shows. But Nancy studied with a very famous gentleman by the name of Avro Cardenas-Hines. And Avro Cardenas-Hines used to run the Minneapolis Art Institute, and it seemed like a lot of people from the Minneapolis area moved to that area of New Mexico. And they all are writers and painters, and a lot of them, well, like Pierre we'll talk about later, cinematographers. But Nancy, I can see Nancy studied a great with Avro Cardenas-Hines. As I look at this blue painting here that she allowed us to take into the gallery this year, this has been hanging on her wall, and her prized possession for over 5-6 years. We've been very successful with her work. She is more contemporary than a lot of artists in that area. As you know, the New Mexico market seems to have a lot of art from that area of the country, and the color palette is more sand and dark browns and what have you. So I love the work that she has been able to bring into our gallery this year. She shipped these in, by the way, unstretched, and as you know, here we bring a lot of art in and stretch it and hang it ourselves. And as I say to people, if you buy a painting with us, we'll frame it at your cost, but at gallery cost. So that's what we're doing with some of Nancy Ortenstein's work. We've got, the next artist is a man by the name of Ron Progasso. And Ron is world-renowned and has lived in Europe and in South America. And he considers himself a printmaker, but I love what he does when he does these boxes and these collages. And his bio goes about 8-9 pages. And if you read his bio, he has been in private shows everywhere in the United States and in Europe and some in South America. But we're very lucky. We sold one of his paintings as we were preparing for the show. It was just out of the wrappings, almost sitting on the ground, and a gentleman from up north came in and saw it, loved it, and bought it. And I think he got a great painting here. So, and Ron does a lot of printmaking and monotype stuff. We don't specialize in that kind of work here, but after having met and talked at great length with Ron during my trip out to Santa Fe in July, I thought he'd be a great and a welcome addition to East Meets West. Well, and as I said, this whole wall is virtually West Coast artist, and we're happy to have him with us today. And people seemed to love his work last night. Now, this is a new painting from Steve McElroy, and this, because of weather, came in yesterday afternoon about 11:30, and we were lucky enough to get it framed. But as you know, and we may have talked about him in times past, he lives in Texas, and he was in business with Ross Perot at one time, sold the whole business out to Ross, and decided to concentrate on being a graphic artist. And as luck would have it, he's got 2 paintings out in the Getty Museum in California, and it's very hard to see, but just last week he sold Gloria Vanderbilt a small piece. I don't know if, Tim, if you can pull that up, but he is presently also designing jewelry for people like Tiffany's in New York, where he took over the account from Palermo Picasso. And we're very happy to have some of his work in here. And we're thankful, because of the weather, we finally got the painting rolled up. We had to stretch it, but we got it. Mark Horst is one of those people we love, because his art is just, it's figurative, it's got motion to it, and last night the people loved it. And as Mark does, he loves to do art that is in motion. And he's done a whole series from his trip to India last year with bicycles. And as you'll see, here are 3 right here, but we've already sold 2 or 3 of his paintings about the size of that up there. That's 36 by 36 of boys on bikes. And we're lucky to have said that we sold this small painting over the Christmas, and some lucky lady got a nice Christmas present, but they allowed us to keep it long enough for this show. Now, the next gentleman, Pierre Dupuis. Pierre is the husband of Nancy Ortenstein, and we love his work. It looks very Chagall-ish. He said he was born in the south of France, and said Picasso, Matisse, and Chagall played a great deal of influence on his life. Now, he's a very interesting gentleman. He's 84 years old. And as I look at this, and I say, boy, he is in love with life. And that's what he says in his bio, that he loves to see people happy and tries to bring that kind of a feeling into his artwork. Interesting man. He's a writer, he's a cinematographer, and he now lives in Taos, and he lives on a reserve out there, a Indian reserve. There are several around Taos, New Mexico, and when he was in Mexico, he lived in an area that is very famous to American artists by the name of San Miguel del Allende. He did several movies, as I understand, and I don't have this on official notice, but I think he did a lot of work in cinematography around the Incas and people like that. So we're happy, again, this is called Love and Bloom. I guess that's called Love and Bloom, and this is called Sleeping Beauty. And people seem to love the lightheartedness and they seem to be fun. I think art should always be fun. Now, someone who's been with us since day one is a sculpturist by the name of A. Cesar Marin. And A. Cesar is from Colombia, South America. And he has been with us since day one in the gallery. And these climbers are just fun, and people purchase them usually in odd numbers, 3, 5, things like that. Now, as you see the big red statue here, that's a 3-footer. We've sold that to a number of landscape architects who put that on the walls of some of their new landscapes here in Key West. And it's interesting to find out that these are all sprayed with automotive paint, so you can put them outside year-round. This piece up on the wall, it's got something called vinyl ash, but what they've done is they've crushed up desert rock and put it in the mix of paint so it becomes even more, has more of an ability to withstand the heat and sun. Now, he's done 6-foot statues like this in Dubai and in a hotel down in Texas. And they're perfectly good outside. And if you can leave your car outside, you can leave these outside. And they're a lot of fun. Now, the next artist is a new gentleman with us who was supposed to be here in December. His name is Herman Stel, and he's Dutch. And we were supposed to have him for the December show. Fortunately for him, he sold about 8 paintings up at Art Basel in early December, and the gallery that had his work was a little reluctant to send it down to us in Key West until that market was kind of slowing down. So these are 2 paintings. One is called Dreamer, and one is called Night. One's Dreamer, and one is Madame Butterfly. And I'll let you tell me which one you think it is that is Madame Butterfly. So we're very happy. We've already sold one of his paintings this weekend while we were hanging the show to some English people who bought a great painting, and you'll see it later, of David Bowie. And we're just happy that we were able to sell it to them. They are so elated. They are David Bowie fans, and they were just wildly happy. Now, we've got Tristan Dietz here, and Tristan has done a myriad of types of work. Her other big series, which you'll see in the next show, is a series of blue paintings with pearls and different kinds of stones in them. But it all blends well, and I think you should put it on your calendar to make our next show, because those paintings will be in the gallery and in prominence. And these are a series that she did for a New York show that she did last year up in March, I think it was. Now, one of our favorites here is, of course, Mariah Sultan. Mariah was supposed to be here with a big painting at 8 foot by 8 foot. Well, unfortunately, she was in New York last week and picked up the flu, so she decided that she just couldn't make it down. But as you know from times past, Mariah Sultan is going to be the new curator of art at CBS. In fact, if you're in the New York metropolitan area, you want to go take a look. She has 18 paintings on the ground floor of CBS, and she has a show coming up in Harlem later in March. But Mariah has been very successful as of late. She sold another 9 paintings the other day to Nickelodeon, who's going to be including them in their new productions. As you know from times past, she has 6 paintings in the show on HBO called The Ballers with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. So the next time you look at that show and you see him having another party at his home, look around, because you'll see 6 paintings of hers on his walls. And Mariah has been one of our nearest and dearest artists, and probably one of the first artists in the gallery. And she's just been very successful as of late. Now, Gene Peterson. Gene is going to be here teaching in Key West in the month of February. In fact, the 22nd to the 26th. And this gives you a little bit of the dimension that Gene has. Gene is as well known in watercolors as she is in acrylic. She is going to be here teaching. She just got back from Italy about a month ago, where she address the World Watercolor Association, and she'll be going back next year to teach in Italy. One of her paintings is going into a permanent collection that she has going into a museum in France, or not France, but in Italy. Now, Jean is also the recipient of the Diamond Jubilee Award from Queen Elizabeth, and in fact, some of her work, I think, has found its way into the Queen's private collection. And we're just so happy to have her. She's out of, she's actually a Western. She's out in Calgary, Canada. So we're looking forward to her visit. And the next individual we're going to talk about today is MJ Levy. MJ just returned a few months ago from China, where she helped establish a new university over there. MJ did she wrote the curriculum for both art and architecture. And her son, who's a big rocker in England, just got married over the holidays, and MJ is going to be in the gallery just visiting us latter part of the month here, and we're hoping to do a one-woman show with her. Now, these are called sea glass, and I just think they're the toughest thing in the world to have possibly painted. This is the kind of stuff that washes up on the beach. And MJ is on her way to a remote island in the Caribbean to spend a month and do some painting. And I can see that she has wandered the beach, and obviously you can see the outgrowth of that in these two small paintings that she did for us here. This is one of her, I'd call this almost a seascape, but it's, MJ spends a lot of time up in Nantucket in the summertime. And if you're from up that area, you can see the morning fog rolling in Nantucket and places like that. So we love her work, and she's been very successful with us, and just a great human being, and we love dealing with her. So we're really looking forward to her visit to Key West. Hopefully, we'll be back in t-shirts down here. We've had a little bit of a cold snap. It got into the 70s, and that's why I've got a long sleeve shirt on today. And, you know, we're not used to anything under the 80 mark, and so it's actually chilly to us. So you got to come down, make sure you make your plans early, because it looks like it's going to be a cold winter up north. That brings us to Nancy Tinkersley. Nancy just sold her gallery that she had up in Easton, Maryland. It's Easton, and I think it was called the South Street Gallery. She just closed on that here January 1. Nancy is going to be devoting more of her time. In fact, last year, Nancy was here for a month as artist in residence at the studios of Key West, and came in here after making a study, decided that she wanted to be a part of our gallery. Now, Nancy is taking a group of 20 people over again this summer to France, where they do a lot of plein air painting. And in fact, I am not sure, but I think this is the piece that she came in second in the National Plein Air contest. This is a lobster shack out in Stock Island, which is another island just adjacent to Key West here. And some of these paintings she did while she was here, like the studios of Key West gave her a small house to use. So this is the small house over on Ash Street. And she is one of the prime movers in what is called plein air painting. She's also done some great oils, which you see here. People love the lobster trap. And then we were lucky enough just recently to sell one of her major paintings that was here called Authentic Caesar. So she loves doing restaurant scenes and things of that nature. So we're going to be having her as a guest down here the first part of March. She is receiving a award in Palm Beach. She is right now has a show going on in New York City at the Simon Gundy Club, and that's down near Gramercy Park. And they specialize in paintings, more very similar, impressionistic paintings. And that's a very famous place, the Solomon Gundy Club in New York, for impressionistic art. So I look forward to seeing her and her husband down here in the 1st of March. So, and the next artist, if you were not here last night and you missed it, is our good friend Eric Hansen. Eric came in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd a year ago, December, in France, and his art is very unique. He is a photographer, a painter, and his wife is a very noted poetryist, by the way. He has been able to master something that nobody else has been able to do. Now, there's 3 processes in this piece of art, and people can do 1, they can do 2, but to do all 3, he's the only gentleman who's been able to master it so far. He takes a sheet of very fine grade aluminum, coats it with a white material, projects a photograph that he's taken onto the piece. Then he paints in acrylic the background. And then after that is set up, he puts another material on this, and what he does is he, under heat and light and pressure, 300 pounds pressure per square inch, he is able to drive that painting back into the aluminum. Now, this is not glass, this is the material. And it looks like glass, but it's not. And he is secretive about his process, and rightfully so, since nobody else has been able to master all 3 of these processes together. And he's a great photographer, he's a great painter, and we have been very successful, and we are happy again to have him this year. We'll be having some of his more contemporary works coming up in probably the next show. Now, this is the big painting from Herman Stahl. This is David Bowie. And on Saturday, while we were putting the show together, some English people walked in the gallery, and they're great fans of David Bowie, and they were just elated to be able to purchase this. This will be going off to northern England in the not too distant future. And we love Herman's work. He is going to be bringing more work into the gallery. As you know, we showed you his other 2 paintings here, which are Dreamer and Madame Butterfly. So, along with what you've seen today, this is our 2nd show of the year, and we were so happy that we had so many people in attendance. If you missed it, this show will be up until probably the 1st week or 2nd week in February. So you've got time to get here. As you know, we're on Facebook, Twitter, and the other 2 social media, but we also have a shop on that. So you can reach down into that website and buy any piece of art that you see hanging in the gallery. So we want to thank you again for coming to Gilday Contemporary Gallery in the heart of Old Key West. And you know we're at 522, and we look forward to you visiting us, and we'll be glad to give you or your crowd a personal tour of the gallery at any time. So look forward to coming, see everything that we have shown you today, and hopefully we'll be having a great next show coming up in the early part of February. So thank you again, and thank you again for those who attended last night. It was great to see so many new faces. Thank you.